For 3 generations, we were handed a script, a blueprint for success that promised a predictable, comfortable life. It was a social contract. You follow the rules, you put in the time. But something broke.
You feel it, don't you?
You're working harder than the generations before you, yet the goalposts seem to keep moving further away. The uncomfortable truth is that the economic terrain has shifted violently beneath our feet. The rules that made your grandparents rich are the exact same rules that will keep you barely afloat today. We are living through the greatest shift in how wealth is generated since the Industrial Revolution, yet most of us are still operating on an outdated operating system. Today, we are going to deconstruct that system. We are going to look at 10 specific, deeply ingrained rules of success that have expired. This isn't about complaining, it's about recalibrating. To build wealth in the 21st century, you first have to unlearn the 20th. Part 1. The Career Illusions. Let's begin where most of us start, the workplace. The foundation of the old blueprint was stability. This leads us to the first dead rule. Outdated rule number 1, the loyal company man. The old advice: get a good job at a big company, keep your head down, stay loyal, and climb the internal ladder for 40 years until you get your pension. This rule died around the same time as the defined benefit pension. In the old economy, loyalty was a two-way street. Companies provided lifetime security in exchange for lifetime service. Today, that social contract is void. Pensions have been replaced by 401ks, shifting the investment risk entirely onto you. But more importantly, internal raises rarely keep pace with inflation, let alone market value. Data consistently shows that employees who stay in the same job for more than 2 years get paid significantly less over their lifetime than those who switch companies. Loyalty has become a tax on your earning potential. The new reality: your career is not a ladder, it's a series of stepping stones. You are a free agent. Your loyalty belongs to your own skill acquisition and earning capacity, not a corporate logo. Outdated rule number 2, head down, work hard, and you'll be noticed. The old advice: results speak for themselves. If you work the hardest, the boss will reward you. This is perhaps the most painful myth because it feels morally right. We want to believe meritocracy is pure. But in the noisy, hyper-competitive information economy, hard work is merely the price of entry. It is baseline expectation. If you are invisible, your work is invisible. In the past, your reputation was limited to the 4 walls of your office. Today, your reputation is global and digital. We live in an attention economy. If you are the best engineer, designer, or writer in your company, but nobody outside your department knows it, your earning ceiling is capped by your manager's perception. The new reality: you must be your own chief marketing officer. Perception drives value. Competence is required, but visibility is what unlocks exponential opportunities. Part 2. The money myths. Once you earn the money, the old blueprint gave you very specific instructions on what to do with it. These instructions are now hazardous to your wealth. Outdated rule number 3. Save 10% in the bank for a rainy day. The old advice: a penny saved is a penny earned. Put your money in a savings account and let the interest compound safely. This rule worked when savings accounts paid 5% or 10% interest and inflation was low. You could literally save your way to wealth. Today, this advice is a guaranteed path to poverty. With interest rates near zero for over a decade and inflation ripping away purchasing power, a savings account isn't a vault, it's a slowly leaking bucket. Your savings are not safe in the bank. They are being actively eroded by central bank policies and government printing. Saving in fiat currency is actually speculating that the currency will hold its value. History tells us that's a bad bet. The new reality: you need an emergency fund, yes, but beyond 3 to 6 months of expenses, Cash is trash. You cannot save your way to wealth. You must invest your way there. You have to move from being a saver to being an owner of assets.
Outdated rule number 4. Debt is evil. Avoid it at all costs. The old advice? Live within your means. If you can't pay cash for it, you can't afford it. All debt is a trap. This rule is a half-truth, making it doubly dangerous. It correctly identifies consumer debt, credit cards paying for clothes, vacations, or depreciating cars, as financial cancer. That debt keeps you poor. But the wealthy play by a different set of rules. They understand nuance. They know the difference between destructive debt and constructive leverage. In a fiat monetary system designed to inflate, debt that is fixed at a low interest rate and attached to an appreciating cash-flowing asset, like real estate or a business, is the most powerful tool for wealth acceleration in existence. While the middle class fears debt, the wealthy use it to short the currency. They borrow money that is worth a lot today and pay it back years later with money that is worth much less, all while keeping the asset. The new reality. Consumer debt is toxic, but strategic, low-interest leverage used to acquire income-producing assets is essential for rapid wealth building. Part 3. The asset traps. This brings us to the cornerstone of the American dream, the one asset that we are told supersedes all others. Outdated rule number 5. Your home is your best investment. The old advice: stop paying your landlord's mortgage. Buying a house is the ultimate forced savings plan and the key to building generational wealth. This is controversial, but hear it out. For the Boomer generation, this was largely true. They bought houses for twice their annual salary and rode a massive wave of demographic expansion and falling interest rates. Today, a primary residence is often a lifestyle choice forced to masquerade as an investment.
When you factor in property taxes, insurance, maintenance, closing costs, and mortgage interest, the actual return on a primary home rarely beats a simple stock market index fund over the long term. Worse, in a volatile job market, a house destroys your mobility. It anchors you to one geography. True wealth in the modern era requires flexibility. If your net worth is entirely tied up in the drywall of the house you sleep in, you are house poor and asset illiquid. The new reality: your home is consumption, not investment. It's a place to live. Real estate investing, where others pay you rent, is wealth building. Owning your own roof is often an expensive anchor. Outdated rule number 6: diversify everything immediately. The old advice: don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your money across thousands of stocks, bonds, and assets to be safe. Diversification is excellent advice for preserving wealth once you have it. It is terrible advice for creating wealth in the first place. If you look at almost any self-made wealthy individual, they did not get there by owning an S&P 500 index fund. They got there through extreme concentration. They bet heavily on one business they understood, one skill set they mastered, or one asset class they knew inside and out. They took calculated, concentrated risks. If you have $5,000 to your name, diversifying it into 50 different tiny slivers ensures you will never lose much, but it also guarantees you will never gain much. The new reality: focus to get rich, diversify to stay rich. In the building phase, you need concentration in areas where you have an information advantage. Part 4. The mindset shifts. Finally, we have to address the philosophical rules, the things we tell ourselves about how the world works. Outdated rule number 7: you need money to make money. The old advice: the barriers to entry are too high. Capital is scarce. You need a rich uncle or a bank loan to start a business. In the industrial age, you needed physical factories, inventory, and massive payrolls. Capital was the gatekeeper. The internet demolished those gates. We live in an era of permissionless leverage.
The cost to test a business idea has collapsed to near zero. You can reach a global audience with a smartphone. You can utilize software that scales infinitely with almost no extra cost. Today, capital follows traction. If you can prove an idea works using sweat equity, your time, skill, and creativity, the money will find you. The bottleneck is no longer cash, it is execution and creativity. The new reality. You don't need money to make money, you need resourcefulness to make money. Sweat equity is the new startup capital.
Outdated rule number 8. Retirement is an age, the 65 finish line. The old advice, work until you are 65, then stop completely and live off your nest egg until you die. The concept of retirement at 65 was invented when life expectancy was around 67. It was a brief period of rest before death. Today, if you retire at 65, you might live another 30 years. The math of saving enough cash to support 3 decades of non-production is brutal, almost impossible for the average earner. Furthermore, the binary idea that you are either working or retired is obsolete. The goal is no longer to hit an age and stop everything. The goal is financial independence, the point where work becomes optional. The new model is about creating sustainable, perhaps passive income streams that allow you to design a life you don't want to retire from. The new reality, retirement is a financial number, not a birthday. The goal isn't to stop working, it's to have the autonomy to work on what you want when you want. Outdated rule number 9. Follow your passion and the money will follow. The old advice, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. The market will reward your authenticity. This sounds beautiful in a commencement speech. In economic reality, it is dangerous narcissism. The market does not care about your passion. The market cares about what value you provide to others. There are plenty of passionate, starving artists. The sweet spot, the Japanese concept of ikigai, is found at the intersection of what you love, what you are good at, and crucially, what the market is willing to pay for. If your passion doesn't solve a problem for someone else, it's a hobby, not a career. And that's fine, but don't confuse the two. The new reality. Don't follow your passion, follow your contribution. Find a problem you are passionately interested in solving for other people. That is where the money is. Outdated rule number 10. The stock market is for gamblers and insiders. The old advice, the market is rigged, regular people get fleeced on Wall Street. Keep your money safe in bonds or cash. This cynicism used to have some merit when trading costs were high and information was hoarded by brokers in expensive suits. Today, information is democratized, trading is free, and the stock market remains the only reliable wealth-generating machine accessible to everyone. By opting out of the market because you think it's gambling, you are making the most reckless gamble of all, betting that your labor income alone will outpace global corporate growth and inflation. You don't need to be a trader, you need to be an owner of global capitalism. The new reality. The stock market is not a casino, it's the engine of wealth creation. Opting out is opting for slow financial suicide. Conclusion and call to action. The blueprint wasn't malicious, it was just a product of its time, a time of high interest rates, strong unions, affordable housing, and shorter lifespans. That world is gone, and it's not coming back. Adhering to these outdated rules today often leads to a feeling of running on a treadmill, exhausted but getting nowhere. The good news is that once you discard the old map, you realize the new terrain is full of opportunity. It's never been easier to learn a high-income skill, start a side business, invest in global markets, and leverage technology to build wealth. But it requires an active mindset. You can no longer be a passive passenger on the corporate ship. You have to be the captain of your own financial life. If you're ready to leave the old rules behind and start operating with the new playbook for wealth in the 21st century, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to spend the next few months detailing exactly how to execute these new realities. The rules have changed. It's time to start playing the game as it exists today. Thanks for watching.